a ship rejected by all. Human mechanic transforms it into a titan of the galaxy. The galaxy's largest shipyard sprawled like a glittering city in space. Countless ships floated in docking bays, their surfaces sleek and shining, engines humming quietly. Alien engineers moved with precision, examining every hull, every panel, every wire. Each vessel was a work of perfection, or at least as perfect as their species demanded. In a shadowed corner, away from the bright docking lanes and inspection towers, sat a ship that no one noticed or no one wanted to notice. Its hull was dented, scratched, and patched in several places. Panels hung loosely, wires dangled like broken veins, and faint smoke rose from vents that had not been properly sealed. The engines were silent, but faint sparks danced from the core. The ship looked abandoned, useless, forgotten. "Why is that heap even still here?" an alien engineer with 6 eyes asked, peering at the ship with disgust. Its voice was sharp, like metal scraping metal. "No one wants it," another replied, its tentacles twitching in annoyance. "It is too old, too damaged. Waste of time even thinking about it." The first engineer hissed, "I told the council to scrap it last cycle. Why is it still here?" But the ship remained, quiet, patient, waiting. That's when Kale arrived. Kale was a human, a mechanic unlike any the galaxy had seen. Humans were not known for vast fleets, advanced alien technology, or perfect engineering. But what humans did have was imagination and courage, and Kale had both in abundance. He strode through the shipyard wearing a simple suit patched with grease stains. Tools hung from belts, some of them old, some carefully modified by human hands. He carried no scanner, no AI assistant, no flashy gadgets like the aliens preferred. Instead, he carried experience and a deep belief that nothing was truly broken. It just needed the right mind to fix it. When Kale laid eyes on the abandoned ship, a smile spread across his face. To anyone else, it was a heap of useless metal. But to Kale, it was a challenge. He ran his hand along the hull, feeling the vibrations, the weaknesses, the hidden strengths. He muttered softly. "You've got more life in you than they think." The aliens watching from a distance snorted. "That human thinks he can repair that? Impossible. He's wasting his time." Kale ignored them. He did not speak much to anyone outside of his work. His hands did the talking. He opened a maintenance hatch near the engine core, and light spilled onto the complex network of wires, conduits, and panels inside. The smell of old coolant and burnt circuits reached him. Most mechanics would have stepped back. Kale leaned closer, smiling. "This is perfect," he whispered to the ship, as if it could hear him. "All you need is a little care, a little patience, and a bit of imagination." The next hours passed in a blur of motion. Kale crawled through narrow shafts, tightened loose circuits, replaced broken panels, and rerouted energy flows. His hands moved with confidence, almost dancing as he worked. Sparks flew occasionally, but not dangerously. Each correction he made was small, but he could see the potential in the ship grow. By the time the first galactic sun peeked through the hangar skylights, the ship already felt different. Kale stepped back, wiped grease from his brow, and studied the hulking frame. It was still battered, still imperfect, but there was a rhythm now in the hum of its systems, a heartbeat. "You're going to be something great," Kale said quietly. "I promise." Over the next few days, Kale continued his work. The shipyard's other mechanics watched with a mixture of curiosity and disbelief. Aliens whispered behind his back. "Why waste time on that scrap?" one asked. "No human could make it functional, much less impressive." Kale didn't answer. He rarely did. He worked. That was how humans solved problems. Quietly, persistently, with patience. While others argued, Kale imagined. He imagined what the ship could become. Slowly, the changes began to show. The engines, once silent, began to emit soft pulses of energy. The hull, still dented, reflected light differently, as if it was learning to shine again. The cockpit systems blinked, some responding for the first time in years. Cale smiled when he saw the first sparks of life. One evening, as stars glittered outside the hangar, Cale climbed into the cockpit for the first full test of the systems. The seat molded to him, sensors flickering awake. He ran his hands across the control panel, and the ship responded. Not perfectly, not yet, but with curiosity, almost like it was aware of the human inside. "All right," Cale murmured. "Let's see what you can do." He activated the engine sequence. There was a low hum, then a shudder. The ship vibrated under him, not with smooth power, but with raw, untamed energy. Sparks danced along the panels, warning lights flickered, and the old engine emitted a deep, growling roar that echoed through the hangar. Aliens watching from the shadows froze. They had never heard a sound like this from a ship that had been rejected by all. Some covered their mouths in shock, others in fear. Cale laughed quietly. It was a soft, almost musical sound in the silent hangar. "Not perfect," he said, "but that's just the start." Over the next week, Cale continued to push the ship, testing systems, reinforcing hull sections, and improvising new tech using materials scavenged from the shipyard. Every time he solved a problem, the ship seemed to respond, almost learning from him. Aliens began to watch in secret, curiosity replacing ridicule. One afternoon, an alien engineer approached Cale. Its skin shimmered in patterns of blue and green. "Human," it said carefully. "Why do you spend so much time on that vessel? It is outdated, damaged. You will not succeed." Cale smiled without turning. "I don't see it as broken. I see it as waiting. Waiting for someone who believes it can be more." The alien hissed but said nothing. It turned and left, muttering to itself about human arrogance. By night, Cale worked alone again, beneath the glow of the hangar lights. He added systems no one had dared to imagine: adaptive energy shields, modular weapon bays, self-repairing hull sections. He even began designing an AI interface that could anticipate threats almost like a human brain, thinking, predicting, learning. The ship, which the galaxy had called a failure, was becoming something extraordinary. Cale whispered to it as he worked. "You're going to be a titan, my friend. A titan of the galaxy." Weeks passed, and Prometheus, Cale's name for the ship, began to take shape. It was no longer just a rejected vessel. Its hull gleamed with new alloys, the engines hummed with raw power, and its AI responded with startling intelligence. One night after finishing the last of the hull adjustments, Cale stepped back and looked at Prometheus. The hangar was silent, except for the ship's soft hum. For a moment, it seemed alive, breathing, waiting. Cale's heart swelled with pride. "You're ready for the next step," he said softly. "We'll show them all." The part ends with a sudden surge of energy from Prometheus's engines, a flicker of light that shot through the hangar, illuminating every corner. Aliens gasped. Some backed away, terrified. Some leaned closer, curious. The ship had roared to life for the first time. Not fully tamed, not fully ready, but alive in a way no one had expected. Cale's eyes sparkled with determination. "This is only the beginning," he whispered. "Let them laugh now. Soon, the galaxy will see what humans can do." And in that quiet, glowing hangar, a forgotten, rejected ship waited with a heartbeat of fire, ready to become something no one in the galaxy could ignore. The galaxy had begun to whisper about Prometheus. At first, it was small talk among traders and engineers in distant systems. "A human is working on that old wreck?" they said. "Ridiculous. No one can make it fly, much less fight." But whispers grew into attention. Ships passing through the busy lanes of the star clusters began to notice the unusual energy signature coming from the shipyard. Unlike the steady hum of ordinary vessels, Prometheus pulsed with a strange rhythm. Irregular yet powerful, almost alive. Cale did not care for gossip. He cared for results. Every morning he entered the hangar with a calm focus. Tools in hand, he would crawl into hidden compartments, inspect the core engines, and adjust systems in ways no alien engineer had imagined. His modifications were not just repairs, they were enhancements. He had redesigned the engines, combining alien propulsion modules with human improvisation. The result was a machine that could push beyond known speed limits, capable of maneuvers even advanced alien ships could not perform. The hull, once cracked and dull, now shimmered with adaptive alloys that could repair themselves in battle. And Kale had designed an AI interface that was unlike any other, intuitive, fast-learning, almost like another human mind on board. Aliens still came to observe, partly curious, partly mocking. "That human is wasting his time," a trader hissed as he leaned on a railing above the hangar. "No ship can survive beyond a standard patrol, let alone a battle fleet." Kale ignored them. He was accustomed to disbelief. Humans had always been underestimated. That was their advantage. One evening, Kale activated Prometheus's new systems for a test flight. The ship shuddered as energy surged through its engines. The AI flickered to life, greeting Kale with a voice that was calm but perceptive. "Hello, Kale," it said. "Shields are at 70%. Energy reserves are stable. I detect 3 areas needing recalibration." Kale smiled. "Good. We'll fix those next." He loved how Prometheus responded like a thinking partner, not just a machine. Most alien ships relied on strict programming. Humans relied on intuition. That night, he guided Prometheus through its first series of test maneuvers. The ship weaved through asteroid fields, dodged simulated attacks, and even accelerated faster than Kale had expected. Each movement felt like a dance. Prometheus was learning, adapting, and Kale could feel it. Word of the ship's capabilities spread quickly. Alien traders and engineers began to watch from afar, some skeptical, some astonished. "It is moving too well," one said, eyes wide. "No ship of that model should survive this test." Kale overheard none of it. He was too busy fine-tuning the weapon systems. Unlike most alien ships, which relied on rigid technology, he designed modular weapons that could shift based on the enemy's approach. Missiles could be redirected, energy beams recharged instantly. Even shields could expand and contract depending on threat angle. One day, an official from the Galactic Council arrived. The representative, a towering being with crystalline skin, approached Kale with measured curiosity. "Human," it said, voice echoing in the hangar. "We have observed your ship. It is unusual. You claim it can surpass known technology?" Kale looked the alien in the eyes, calm and unshaken. "I don't claim," he said. "I know. It's learning. It's adapting. And when it's ready, it will surprise everyone." The council official raised an eyebrow. "You risk your life with this vessel. Many fleets would consider it reckless." Kale shrugged. "The galaxy doesn't need perfection. It needs humans who are willing to try." The alien left, but not before scanning Prometheus with a device that recorded unusual energy spikes. Its expression was unreadable. Kale only smiled. Humans had a way of thinking that no alien could fully understand. That was their strength. Over the next few weeks, Kale's work accelerated. He added a core transformation system that allowed Prometheus to shift its structure depending on threat or mission. Hull segments could expand or contract, engines could reorient, weapon systems could shift shape. It was chaotic and dangerous to test, but Kale had confidence. He named the system the Titan Core. When activated, it would give Prometheus abilities far beyond any single alien ship in the galaxy. But Kale knew he had to test it carefully. One wrong calculation, and the ship, or he, would be destroyed. Kale spent long hours in the cockpit, talking quietly to the ship as he adjusted the core. "You're going to change everything," he said. "The galaxy doesn't know it yet, but soon it will." One night during a late inspection, Kale noticed a fleet approaching the outer system. Sensors picked up dozens of ships, moving in perfect formation. Kale's brow furrowed. "That's not normal," he muttered. The fleet belonged to a distant warlord species known for terrorizing unprotected systems. Alien captains in nearby regions scrambled to defend their territories. Communication from the warlord fleet was harsh and threatening. Surrender or face destruction. The Council of Alien Engineers panicked. Many ships were unprepared. Some fled. And yet, Kale remained calm. He climbed into Prometheus, activated the new shields, and ran diagnostic after diagnostic. The ship responded with precision, adapting to the incoming threat simulations. Kale realized that this was the moment of truth. He could continue to perfect Prometheus, or he could face the fleet and show what humans could do, he whispered to the ship. "Time to show them what we're made of. Let's see if a human can turn a rejected vessel into a Titan." As the warlord fleet drew closer, the aliens around the hangar watched in shock. The rejected ship, once scorned, now pulsed with a strange blue light, energy surging along its newly reinforced hull. Prometheus's engines roared with raw power, shaking the hangar floor. The first skirmish began. Kale guided the ship into position, weaving through attacks that would have destroyed any other vessel. Lasers missed by mere meters, missiles exploded harmlessly against the adaptive shields, and the ship's AI adjusted faster than the alien commanders could anticipate. For the first time, the alien engineers realized that humans were different. Not stronger, not faster, not more advanced, creative, unpredictable, fearless. Kale's hands moved quickly across the controls, voice calm but commanding. "Redirect power to the shields, increase thruster output. Adjust weapon angles, now," Prometheus responded instantly, twisting mid-flight, dodging a volley of energy blasts, and firing back with a precision that no standard alien ship could match. It was chaos, but controlled chaos. The warlord fleet began to hesitate. No human ship should have been able to survive this long against them. Kale laughed quietly in the cockpit. "You thought this was impossible? You've never seen a human at work." By the end of the engagement, Prometheus had not only survived but disabled several of the warlord fleet's key vessels. The aliens who had mocked Kale and the ship now stared in awe. They had called it a scrap heap. They had laughed at a human's ambition. And yet here was proof that humans could create legends from what others had rejected. Kale returned to the hangar with Prometheus, engines still glowing, systems buzzing with energy. Aliens gathered around, whispering, amazed and fearful. Kale stepped out of the cockpit, wiping sweat from his brow. He looked at the once forgotten ship, now humming with life and power. "You see," he said quietly, "you never know what a human can do. All it takes is patience, imagination, and courage. This ship is just the beginning." As he walked away, Kale didn't notice the holographic signals appearing across the galaxy. News of Prometheus's survival, and of the human mechanic behind it, was spreading. The whispers were growing into headlines. Some called it reckless genius, others a miracle. But everyone agreed on one thing: humans had arrived, and they could not be ignored. The part ends with Kale looking out from the hangar into the stars. Ahead, the galaxy was vast and full of danger, but he was ready. Prometheus was ready. And together they would show the universe what humans were truly capable of. For the first time, the galaxy began to fear and respect the potential of one human, and one rejected ship that was no longer rejected at all. The warlord fleet had arrived in full force. Their ships were massive, sleek, and intimidating, moving with deadly precision through the void of space. Each vessel bristled with weapons and shields far beyond what most star systems had ever faced. Alien fleets nearby had already retreated in panic, leaving the unprotected planets in the sector at the mercy of the invaders. But Kale did not panic. He stood in the cockpit of Prometheus, calm and focused, hands steady on the controls. He had prepared for this moment for weeks, imagining every possible scenario, testing every system, and teaching the ship to anticipate threats. "Shields are at maximum efficiency," the AI reported. "Weapon systems online. Energy levels optimal. Enemy fleet approaching at 23,000 kilometers per second." Kyle nodded. "Good. Let's give them a warm welcome." Prometheus surged forward, engines roaring with raw, untamed power. The hum of its systems pulsed like a heartbeat, matching Kale's own rhythm of determination. For the first time, the ship felt alive, not just as a machine, but as a partner, responding to every instinct Kale had. The Warlord fleet opened fire. Energy beams sliced through space, missiles streaking like falling stars, their destructive power lighting up the darkness. But Prometheus danced through the assault. Shields flared and absorbed impact after impact, hull sections adjusted to deflect attacks, and Kale guided the ship with uncanny precision. Aliens who had once mocked the vessel watched in disbelief from distant stations. "How is this possible?" they whispered. "A single human ship is holding its own against an entire fleet?" Ale grinned in the cockpit. "You'll see." The first engagement was brutal. Prometheus twisted and turned, dodging laser barrages, firing back with adaptive weapons that shifted based on enemy patterns. Missiles were intercepted mid-flight, energy beams rerouted to overload enemy shields, and the ship's AI predicted enemy maneuvers before they even occurred. It was chaos. But Kale thrived in chaos. Humans were not limited by rigid logic. They adapted, improvised, and took risks others would never consider. Prometheus moved like a living creature, weaving between the enemy ships with impossible agility. A group of smaller attack vessels charged directly at Prometheus. Kale's hands flew over the controls. "Deploy countermeasures. Redirect energy to the front shields. Fire sequence Alpha." The ship obeyed instantly. Missiles were launched in perfect arcs, intercepting the attackers before they could strike. Energy beams snapped from adaptive cannons, hitting critical points on enemy hulls. The smaller ships were destroyed or forced to retreat. "Impressive," the AI said calmly. "But larger vessels are closing in." Kale's grin widened. "I know. Let's make it more interesting." He activated the Titan core, the system he had spent weeks perfecting in secret. Prometheus's hull began to shift and expand. Engines reoriented, giving new speed and maneuverability. Weapon systems transformed, energy flowing into modular cannons that could fire in multiple directions at once. The ship glowed with an aura of power, blue energy lines tracing its new form. The larger Warlord vessels hesitated. They had faced skilled pilots before, but never a ship like this, one that moved unpredictably, striking with precision while avoiding damage entirely. Kale exploited their hesitation, targeting command vessels first. He fired adaptive energy beams that disabled shields on the leading Warlord ship, then launched micro-missiles that tore through control systems. The command ship faltered, slowing slightly, and the rest of the fleet struggled to maintain formation. Kale's voice was calm, almost playful. "You thought you could intimidate a human? Think again." The battle raged for hours. Prometheus dodged, attacked, and adapted. Each time the enemy adjusted, the ship countered. Kale anticipated, improvising new maneuvers on the fly. Humans had a unique advantage. They could combine instinct with strategy in ways no AI or alien protocol could match. Despite the chaos, Kale noticed something else. Civilian transport ships were caught in the conflict, unarmed and defenseless. He quickly calculated a course that would protect them while maintaining his offensive against the Warlord fleet. "AI," Kale said, "prioritize civilian protection. Enemy engagement remains secondary, but active. Keep civilians safe." Prometheus adjusted instantly, weaving between attackers to shield the transports. Energy shields expanded to cover fleeing ships, absorbing blasts meant to destroy them. Kale guided the vessel with skill and precision, moving like a guardian through a storm of destruction. One of the Warlord fleet's largest ships targeted Prometheus directly, firing a weapon of unimaginable power, a beam designed to pierce any shield. The cockpit shook violently as alarms blared. Kale's hands flew across controls. Divert all power to shields. Activate core transformation fully. Prometheus's Titan core roared to life. The hull shifted, channels of energy absorbing the beam instead of being destroyed by it. Energy redirected to weapon systems allowed Kale to counterstrike immediately. He fired adaptive missiles and energy beams that struck weak points in the enemy vessel's hull. The massive warlord ship shuddered and then drifted, crippled but still dangerous. The smaller enemy ships faltered without the command vessel coordinating them. Kale pressed the advantage. Prometheus became a whirlwind of precision attacks and evasive maneuvers. The AI anticipated the enemy's moves before they could act, Kale improvising new strategies in real time. Across the galaxy, alien fleets and colonies watched. Word spread like wildfire. A single human ship is fighting an entire warlord fleet and surviving. Fear and awe mixed in equal measure. Kale knew this was just the beginning. The warlord fleet had underestimated him. They had assumed that a human pilot with a rejected ship could be destroyed easily. They had assumed humans were weak. They were wrong. Hours into the battle, Kale faced the largest test yet. The warlord fleet deployed its ultimate weapon, a massive energy cannon capable of obliterating an entire planet's surface. He watched as it charged, a brilliant beam forming in the darkness of space. The weapon was aimed directly at Prometheus. The AI's voice was calm but urgent. "Kale, this weapon will destroy us if it fires at full capacity. Probability of survival is low." Kale's eyes narrowed. Low? Humans thrive on low probability. Trust me. He activated a risky maneuver, combining the Titan core's full capabilities with extreme evasive thrusters. Prometheus twisted and expanded, absorbing the incoming energy in a controlled burst. The ship shuddered violently, sparks flying from energy conduits, but it held together. Kale directed the absorbed energy into counterattack beams, striking critical points on the warlord fleet's command ships. The effect was immediate. Enemy coordination broke down. Chaos rippled through the fleet. Some ships attempted retreat, others were destroyed by adaptive weapons they could not predict. Kale pushed Prometheus further, weaving through the battlefield like a living storm. Energy pulsed along its hull, weapons firing in perfect sequence, shields adapting to every strike. The warlord fleet began to retreat, defeated, humiliated. A single human in a ship they had all mocked had forced their withdrawal. When the battle ended, the vacuum of space was silent again. Prometheus floated among the remnants of enemy vessels, engines still glowing softly, systems humming like a heartbeat. Kale stepped back from the controls, breathing deeply but steady. He looked out at the stars, then at the alien observers who had gathered at the edges of the system. They stared in awe. For the first time, many realized that humans were not just capable, they were formidable. Kale's hands rested lightly on the control panel. "We did it," he whispered. "But this is only the beginning. The galaxy is bigger, and there's more to prove." Prometheus seemed to hum in agreement. The ship, once rejected and abandoned, had become a weapon, a protector, and a symbol of human ingenuity. Kale had transformed not just metal and circuits, but the galaxy's perception of humans. As he guided the ship back toward the hangar, Kale's mind raced with plans. Systems could be upgraded further, tactics refined, and alliances formed. Humanity had arrived in the galaxy not with fleets, but with intelligence, courage, and creativity. The part ends with Kale standing in the cockpit, looking at the stars ahead. He knew the next challenge would be greater, the threats bigger. But he was ready. Prometheus was ready. And together they would continue to show the galaxy that humans could turn even a rejected ship into a titan of the stars. The galaxy was buzzing. Reports of a single human ship, Prometheus, defeating the warlord fleet had spread across star systems faster than light-speed signals. Some called it madness. Others called it a miracle. But everyone agreed on one thing. Humans had changed the rules of the galaxy. Kale did not pay attention to rumors. He had work to do. Prometheus, despite surviving the battle, needed repairs and upgrades. Every system had been tested under extreme stress, and every test had revealed new possibilities. Kale wanted more than survival. He wanted Prometheus to become a true Titan. In the quiet of the hangar, he ran diagnostics, adjusted energy flows, reinforced the hull, and refined weapon systems. The AI responded with calm efficiency, learning faster than ever. Kale spoke softly as he worked, treating Prometheus not as a machine, but as a partner. "You're ready for the next step," he said. "The galaxy doesn't know it yet, but soon it will." Outside, alien engineers watched in awe. Some still whispered doubts, but most were silent, captivated by the sight of a human calmly transforming a vessel they had all rejected. Kale did not need approval. Humans had always thrived on challenges, on turning the impossible into reality. Then, the warning arrived. Sensors detected another fleet approaching, a coalition of the galaxy's most powerful empires, drawn by rumors of Prometheus's victory. They came not just to challenge a human, but to test humanity itself. Kale's eyes narrowed. "Finally," he murmured. "Let's see how much they've learned." He climbed into the cockpit, activating all systems. Prometheus hummed with energy, engines glowing like twin suns. The Titan core pulsed in response, ready to shift the ship into its ultimate form. Kale's fingers flew over the controls, and the AI responded with intuitive precision. Shields at full capacity, weapons ready. Core transformation at 90%, it reported. Kale nodded. "Bring it to 100. Time to show the galaxy what humans are capable of." The alien coalition arrived like a dark storm. Hundreds of ships, massive and intimidating, filled the void, their weapons glowing with deadly potential. They assumed fear would dominate, that the human pilot would retreat or surrender. They were wrong. Kale guided Prometheus forward, weaving through the formation with impossible agility. Energy shields flared, absorbing blasts that would have destroyed any other vessel. The AI predicted enemy movements before they happened, but Kale did more than follow predictions. He invented new strategies in real time. The battle began. Energy beams tore through space, missiles streaked like meteors, and explosions lit the darkness. Prometheus danced between attacks, striking back with modular weapons that shifted in shape and purpose instantly. Adaptive cannons fired in new angles, disrupting enemy formations. The coalition ships faltered, unable to predict the humans' unconventional maneuvers. Kale's mind worked like a conductor, orchestrating chaos with precision. "Target command vessels first," he instructed. "Neutralize coordination. Keep civilians and allies safe." Energy pulsed along Prometheus' hull as the Titan core activated fully. The ship expanded, engines reorienting, weapons transforming into new forms. It glowed with a radiant blue energy that lit the darkness like a comet blazing through space. The alien commanders gasped. What is that?" one hissed. "It moves like a living thing." Prometheus twisted through enemy fire, striking with unparalleled speed. One command vessel attempted a full-power beam attack. Kale responded instantly, diverting energy to adaptive shields and then redirecting excess power to launch a counterattack. The enemy ship shuddered under the assault, systems failing, and it drifted, disabled but still afloat. The coalition struggled to maintain formation. Ships collided, shields overloaded, and attacks became disorganized. Kale pressed the advantage. Each maneuver, each strike, was precise yet unpredictable. Humans were not bound by alien conventions. They thought differently, and Prometheus moved with that human unpredictability as its core. Hours passed, but Kale showed no fatigue. The Titan core hummed like a living heartbeat, responding to every instinct and command. The coalition, once confident in their overwhelming power, began to retreat. The humans, just one human and one ship, had forced a galaxy-wide alliance to reconsider their assumptions. Kale's voice was calm but full of authority. You thought this would be easy? You've underestimated humanity. Always. The coalition ships fell back, their formation broken, weapons offline, pride shattered. Prometheus glided through the battlefield, engines glowing softly, hull radiating raw power. Kale took a deep breath. The battle was over. The humans had prevailed. The alien observers watching from distant systems and docking stations were silent. Awe and respect filled their eyes. Aliens who had once mocked Kale's ambition now understood a simple truth. Humans were a force to be reckoned with. Kale guided Prometheus back to the hangar, engines quieting but still alive with latent energy. He stepped out of the cockpit, wiping sweat from his brow, and surveyed the ship. Once rejected and abandoned, it now gleamed with power and intelligence. It was more than a vessel. It was a symbol. The eye spoke softly, almost proudly. You've exceeded all expectations, Kale. The galaxy has taken notice. Kale smiled. We've done more than that. We've shown them what humans can achieve. A ship is more than metal. Humans are more than what anyone expects. The Council of Alien Engineers, who had once mocked Kale, approached cautiously. Some bowed, some extended hands, all acknowledging what they had witnessed. You created a legend. One said softly, "We underestimated humans." Kale chuckled lightly. Legends are created, not given. Prometheus was rejected, just like humanity often is. But we don't give up. We build. We adapt. We fight. That's what humans do. Across the galaxy, messages spread from system to system. A human had transformed a rejected ship into a titan of the galaxy, defeated fleets that dwarfed entire nations, and inspired awe in every species that had doubted humanity. Fear and respect followed wherever the story traveled. Kale walked through the hangar, examining the ship, touching panels, checking systems. We're just getting started, he said. The galaxy is vast, and there are more challenges ahead. But nothing is impossible when humans believe. Prometheus seemed to pulse in agreement, energy humming like a heartbeat of life. The ship, once abandoned and forgotten, had become an icon of human ingenuity, courage, and perseverance. In the days that followed, alien leaders approached Kale for alliances. Traders offered rare materials for upgrades, and scouts shared intelligence about emerging threats. Kale listened but focused on the bigger picture. Humanity had proven it could survive, fight, and win, not because of technology alone, but because humans could think, adapt, and act with boldness no other species could match. One evening, Kale stood at the observation deck of the hangar, looking out at the stars. He saw distant fleets, planets, and systems that had once ignored humans. Now, all of them knew that humans could not be underestimated. "You see that, Prometheus?" he whispered. "The galaxy is watching. They know we exist. They know we can fight, and they will remember it." The ship's systems glowed faintly in response, like a nod from a loyal companion. Kale smiled. Humanity had arrived, not with fleets of numbers, but with brains, courage, and heart. The galaxy would never forget the day a human mechanic took a ship rejected by all and transformed it into a titan. And Kale knew this was only the beginning, because humans, when underestimated, were unstoppable. The story ends with Kale stepping aboard Prometheus, engines powering up, ready to explore new systems, face new threats, and continue a legacy that would inspire generations. The galaxy had witnessed the rise of a human, and their titan, and there was no turning back.